Howdy, partners. This is Excitable Gentlemen, a podcast about pop culture and other things where we talk about movies and TV and radio and
Bunch of other
clothing and
random
athletes
shit.
and sports and politics and burnt toast. I'm Brandon.
I'm Denard.
Hi.
How y'all doing? So yeah, what you saying, Chief?
That's fair. Well, okay. I mean, I mentioned this briefly back in the real world, in the pre-podcasting world. I saw the first episode, and I think 2 episodes actually, 2 and like a 5th episodes of Witcher,
Yeah. So
which came out on Netflix 2 days ago, Friday.
I was like, what does it actually come out? Because they just kind of drop stuff randomly at this point now.
They release, I think, comedy on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, but then movies and TV shows, for the most part, on Fridays.
Okay.
Fridays are like the big release days. That's the day that they released, like Marriage Story and Uncut Gems and this show and
Now is Uncut Gems supposed to be on Netflix or is it a theater release?
okay. Well, I said Uncut Gems. That's wrong. So they Six Underground is what they dropped
Okay.
Friday before last. Uncut Gems is being released Christmas Day on Netflix, while
Okay.
also theater. It's already playing in some theaters, just kind of sporadically, but it's going to be released more widely on Christmas Day, the 25th, Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah. And I've seen that.
So,
Yes.
what are your thoughts on it?
I fucking loved it. I think it is out of like, everybody's doing like best movie of the year list and best music, best song, blah, 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 and now also best of the decade stuff. And out of every movie released this decade, there are only 2 movies that really stress me the fuck out. 1 is Free Solo, and 2 is Uncut Gems.
Okay.
And you know what Free Solo is?
No.
I can tell by the look. It this year, technically, for last year's movies, won Best Documentary, and it's about Alex Honnold, who free climbed, free solo, no ropes or anything, the El Capitan in Yosemite, and he did it without any ropes or anything, and it follows him, and it is so stressful. Like, my palms were sweating watching it.
See,
It's very good.
I can never watch those documentaries.
It's worth it, though.
It's like for me, it wouldn't be because I'm just gonna sit there looking like, what's the fucking point?
I know, I get that, but in my mind, I guess it's like, well, we did it, so I'm watching.
Yeah.
I'm so stressed out about it.
Yeah, like it's just like the shit where people climb up like Everest. It's like I don't get the fucking point. Like, yeah, people can do it. A lot of people have done it.
It's to show the great achievement of man,
Yeah,
and also the foolishness of man.
yeah.
I don't disagree with you.
I want to make a joke and I don't want to make a joke at the same time. We're gonna skip it.
Okay, good.
Yeah. But why was this one so stressful?
Uncut Gems is extremely stressful because it's following a jeweler as played by Adam Sandler, who is he's basically like always teetering on the brink of everything collapsing from within. Meaning, like, he's married and he has 2 kids, but then he's a jeweler in New York, has his own business. But then he also, like, one of the women who works there, who's like, some early 20s, utterly, absolutely beautiful woman, who works for him is also his girlfriend, and he's leaving his wife for her. And so there's even just little things like that. But then also he's living life off of collateral and, oh, I won this with this giant bet, so now I'm going to bet everything again on this thing. And it's just like, you're just waiting for the house of cards to fall. And it's just that the entire movie. Of when he takes 2 steps forward, he takes 13 back all of a sudden. And it's also just so frenetically edited and paced in general, on top of the fact that the circumstances in the film are also incredibly stressful. But it is so good. Adam Sandler is fucking great in it, which is not at all surprising, frankly. He's a great actor when he kind of picks these harder roles like Punch Drunk Love, and Even though it was kind of an odd movie, he was still good in it in Reign Over Me. And what is it? The Meyerowitz stories, I think it was. For Noah Baumbach a couple years ago, 3 years ago. He's really good in that too. But yeah, I hope he gets an Oscar nomination. He for real deserves it. He's very. It's a great movie, and Kevin Garnett is great in it as himself. And unsurprisingly, Lakeith Stanfield is as great as he always is.
You know, I forgot he was supposed to be in that.
Yeah, he's really good. He plays a pretty important role too.
All right.
It's really good. I highly recommend it. And if you've not seen Good Time, which is the movie directed by the Safdie brothers, wrote and directed as well, movie prior to this, with Robert Pattinson.
What's it about?
It's about a guy played by Robert Pattinson and his brother, who is played by one of the Safdie brothers, and they do kind of like, they rob a store, and kind of, it's that thing where like, you know, the domino effect, and like shit goes bad, and it's high paced, but it's not as high paced at all as Uncut Gems. But you can tell they're by the same directors, but not in a way that's kind of like repetitive and not like they're not growing as filmmakers or anything. But it's the movie that, you know, after Pattinson was being discussed for Batman, let alone cast as Batman, where I might have told you, but everybody who was just like, oh, fucking Robert Pattinson, sparkly, I almost said butterflies, sparkly vampires from fucking Twilight. He watched that movie, he can act his ass off. That's what that will convince you, I bet.
See, that's the. I think he can act. I just don't care for him.
And that's fair. But this one might change it because it is like a 70s era De Niro performance. It's really good.
I give it a shot.
It's worth it. It's on Amazon Prime.
The miss is going to be less likely.
I mean, fair enough.
Yeah, Nardi don't really fucks with Amazon Prime. They need to get a higher quality system.
That's fair.
Yeah, like I said,
it's out there though.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'll give it a shot.
Okay. Yeah. I almost saw Cats today. then we didn't, but we're gonna go see it tomorrow.
So, what's the appeal of people to go see? Like, it's an atrocity, like to say the least. Do people actually know like what Cats is about?
No. Here's the thing. For the most part, a lot. Now, keep in mind, and this does not really overlap with like, you know, the Venn diagram of anybody we know, but I'm just saying in general. Prior to, I think, Wicked, it was the biggest musical in the history of musicals.
No, it was.
Well, yeah, but prior to Wicked, I think is...
No, yeah, Wicked is now.
Usurped it. But prior to that, it was the one.
Yeah, Cats was the Wicked.
It was the one.
Yeah, it was Cats until Wicked showed up.
And so Tom Hooper, the guy who directed some shit, you know, on TV, but then his first movie he directed was King's Speech, which won Best Picture undeservedly, in my opinion, over The Social Network. And he won Best Director. And since then, he's made a lot of not good movies. And that culminates in Cats, a movie that cost the released budget amount, like prior to any kind of advertising, is $95 million. I can guarantee you it is higher than that. Do you know one reason why? I can guarantee you that.
All the CGI.
Fair. However, as of Friday morning, after the movie had already been released, because it came out, you know, Thursday afternoon, night, that they do those previews now, they sent a digital patch to all theaters for the movie to improve VFX. But to the point where the movie was unfinished, which is something I've never heard of. Like, them sending a patch to fix and or improve the movie. Because there's a scene, and I can show you the photo, where you can straight up just see Judi Dench's hand, human hand, like this on her stomach as she's singing, and she's supposed to be a cat. And there's another scene apparently where there's a dude who's a background actor who was just never rendered or never had the VFX applied to him, and he's just wearing a hoodie in the background.
Like, I mean, that's part of the digital thing, though. It's the same thing they're doing with, like I said, they release games now that are half baked, and then you just get the patch the day of. Though I'm not surprised they're doing that in movies, but
there it is.
Like I said, it's even then I still don't understand. Like I said, people. I don't think people neither know what Cats is about or if people actually care. Because like I said,
well, I can tell
nobody
you.
Nobody our generation really gave a fuck about Cats. I saw Cats, but I saw it as a musical on PBS, and it doesn't work. A lot of it doesn't work in a movie as it would in a stage production because the whole randomness and like crazy cat people type of shit only really works when you have like a live audience that you can do certain things with.
Well, it's also it also just is so has all of the theatricality of a Broadway show. You know, it's like people dressing up as cats, and it's based on, you know, a Walt Whitman series of poems about cats. Like everything about it is just like showbiz and not movie. You know, it's in its own way. It's almost like the same difference as has all the misgivings and failings of having tried to adapt what it is to be a video game into a movie. And it's just you have to make a lot of changes, and you have to really change the nature of what it is. And I think to your point, a live audience goes a long way. By the way, I saw that fucking thing. I had to go like with my sister or maybe my aunt or something. It was awful. I hated every second of it. Like truly did not like it at all.
That's it. I thought it was just weird. Like if you don't know the premise, they're essentially a cat that
a tribe of cats must decide yearly which one will ascend to the heaviside layer and come back to a new life. Cat death.
Yeah, so essentially they don't really understand what death is, but once a year, one of them goes to essentially heaven. And yeah, you kind of follow that whole storyline, which is strange within itself. But like I said, just kind of trying to explain that in I'm guessing probably like a 2-hour musical. Probably not going to be the best.
No.
But, you know, whatever.
Well, you know what? As we said, it's probably a $100 million plus movie, minimally. And this weekend, wide release in the U.S., it made $6.5 million. So, yeah, it's done.
Yeah, but like I said, I saw that coming.
Yeah. But to your point, though, I'm going to go see it tomorrow. Because, A, I kind of like was trying to get Heather to go see it more as like a joke. And, you know, a joke that became real. That became we're going to go see it. To, yeah, no, I mean, we're going to see it. And it's going to suck. And I'm not going to enjoy it. And I'm going to be cranky. But I'm going to see it. Because I just want to, as much as I want to experience an amazing movie, I also sometimes want to experience awful films in the theater.
You're better than me. I don't do it.
I'm doing it.
Yeah, my life is too short for me to waste time on bullshit.
Well, you know, I'm hoping for reincarnation. It's gonna suck, but I'm gonna do it. And then Tuesday I'm gonna see Knives Out, which I'm very excited about.
Heard some pretty decent things about that one. Yeah.
I've heard good things.
Oh, you might have saw it on the page, but I'm just go ahead and put it on there and live act there. Fuck Terry Gilliam. That is all.
Yeah, it's all.
Yeah.
When I saw I'm not like surprised by it, but yeah, I saw the pool quote. I didn't see anything else.
Oh no, I actually read the whole thing. I would just get this out there. I ain't got no respect for no white directors or producers at no point. Like every single one of them just turns out to be a trash human being.
Yeah.
Like literally, you make stories about white kids that go through time and all this random stupid shit, but Ryan Coogler and them never went to Africa. They don't know anything about their people or their patterns. And again, sci-fi futurist. So no, fuck Terry Gilliam. And like I said, at this point, I don't give a fuck about none of the white directors, producers, or writers. It's getting real problematic. And like, I'm gonna be honest with you, it's getting to the point like I don't go see movies now because of that whole reason. Like, all of them just turning out to be trash. Martin Scorsese. What's that? Terry Gilliam. Of course, you know my favorite. Fuck Ridley Scott.
Yeah.
Even Steven Spielberg.
And you know mine, Zack Snyder.
Yeah, even Steven Spielberg. He's trash. That's it, because I already told you, race has a lot to do with him being against the whole thing with Netflix and being up for, you know, awards and everything else. Well, it shouldn't be that way until he can do it. So now it's like, no, all of them are trash at this point. It's like I don't enjoy it anymore. Like,
is Fincher okay?
The funny thing is, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't. Essentially, all of them. There's so many of them that are trash that
Yeah,
none of them
it's
get a.
yeah,
Nobody gets past with me now.
yeah.
Like so, yeah. Learn to keep your fucking mouth shut. Maybe black people and other people of color might start going to see more of your movies.
Please don't
And
talk.
we won't talk. And we won't talk so much shit about you.
Don't talk, Fincher.
So yeah.
Please.
But yeah, if I find out something though, yeah, he's gonna be trash too. So
God, I hope he doesn't talk.
yeah.
Please, stay. Stay golden.
But all right, I'm
Pony
off
Fincher.
that. Yeah, I'm off that for today.
Stay golden, Pony Fincher.
Yeah.
I saw the Little Peep documentary. Everybody's Everything. Actually, it's actually good.
Now I'm gonna tell you now.
It's really well done.
I will never watch it.
Yeah.
Not because it's. And I'll tell you now, me and you are a little bit different because you'll watch something that's well done. I don't give a fuck about the production. If the story and everything else is terrible, then it's just a waste of my fucking time. Little Peep is a nobody. And not to say not that he wasn't someone. It's just that in the world of music and hip hop, I know nothing of Little Peep. I didn't know anything about Little Peep till he died. And mind you, so
I knew of him a little.
So, okay, I was listening to, we kind of put this on, well, some of this got retweeted on Twitter, and we were talking about, possibly talking about this on there. I said, we'll discuss a little bit, but this is something that's going to have to be saved for another episode.
Oh, wait, was that about
who would you cut
who would you get rid of?
Yeah, you get rid of, and you get rid of everything that they've done, their entire catalog.
So that was what
And it was
Tyler
Eddie
Perry.
Murphy. It was Eddie Murphy, Tyler Perry, Martin Lawrence, Kevin Hart, and Dave Chappelle.
Okay.
And Tyler Perry. And I immediately cut Kevin Hart.
I would have done Kevin. That was my choice immediately.
Now, like I said, we can all, I said, we'll discuss that for another time. But part of the reason why I said that was going to have to be a little bit different because some of that are black famous things where it doesn't kind of cross over from, like the one that everybody got on was Frankie Beverly and Maze. That black community, everybody loves Frankie Beverly, but white people have no idea who he is.
No idea.
So this is kind of where the Little Peep thing is not necessarily black famous. I just think it's generational, where it's people in my age group, we don't listen to SoundCloud rappers. So Little Peep, Lil Nas X, he's gotten out there, but XXXTentacion.
Yeah.
There's some Lil Xan. I think that might be one of them.
That's a dude, yeah.
Yeah, like they're nobodies because they're SoundCloud rappers. They put out a couple little, tracks here and there, and they have a following with kids that are just, well, we like them because they have tattoos and they do drugs. And don't get me wrong, that's pretty much most of music when you're growing up as a kid. But it's just like, I don't know you, and I'm never gonna be interested because it's just like, why do you matter? Like what? And that's what I mean. Like, what is it in this documentary that's gonna have me sitting here like, well, let me go back and really go investigate his music because I can tell you, it's not gonna be anything.
No, it was, and it was really, it was well made enough. The reason I saw it is just that I got it, and I was like, I'll give it a whirl because that's like a background thing.
But see, that's the thing. Like I said, you love documentaries and movies and stuff like that, and you'll watch them just because, just like I'll listen to an album just to go listen to it, just throw it on. It's just like I said, for me, I guarantee you, as soon as I get like 15 minutes in, I'm like, I don't give a fuck about this shit. And and it's like I can't get into documentaries because unless there's something poignant about it or something kind of important, I'm just gonna be like,
no, that's fair.
Well, like that's what I'm saying. Like, did Lil Peep actually do anything special?
A lot of it was just about like what he could have been.
So
and it was all about him, and they, with the advent of being able to record and photograph anything, in your pocket, there's a lot of footage, and so it was a lot of that, and was about his struggles growing up and how that fed him and drove him, and how that informed his music, and how he just kind of came out of nowhere and got a real following, was selling out, and internationally and in the U.S. and was hitting it big time, and then went on one final tour with like all of his friends, but also lackeys, trying to kind of give them some shine before he changed his life, and then he overdosed on fentanyl, which he didn't know was fentanyl, and died in the back of his tour bus.
Yeah, like, they're going wrong. It's terrible, sad to
It
hear.
is, yeah.
But he has the same potential like every other SoundCloud rapper has. Like, not even trying to be rude about it. It's just like,
I know what you're saying. I mean,
because like, rest in peace to Juice World. I have no idea any of his music, but like, I'm not gonna lie. If they bust out a documentary for like Juice World, it'll be the same thing. I'm like, okay.
it's not going to be dramatically different for sure.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, okay, like what's?
It's the same basic concept.
Yeah, it's just like I don't get, because I heard there was supposed to be making one for XXX Tentacion, and I'm just like,
Oh, I don't give a fuck about that dude.
well, I'm saying like,
He's an awful human.
yeah, I'm just like, what? I'm like, they might have had 2 to 3 like maybe semi-popular hits, and again,
Yeah.
hits as in it's SoundCloud. You're not making no real money off of it. It's
Well, yeah.
in a small group in a generation. Like I said, if it's not going past the age of 30, then they're not listening to it. And it's just like,
Well,
okay.
part of what they say in the documentary is that he kind of created this new sound that would be aped by a lot of people of actually just kind of combining, more of like kind of like an emo kind of aesthetic with rap, which isn't, whereas like Machine Gun Kelly is doing like heavy metal with rap, quote unquote. He was doing more like emo type, like that type of rap. I don't know any.
So I'm just
That's just what they're saying.
So I'm just let it be known now. If that's what they're going for, they can go ahead and just throw that bullshit out the window. Okay. So you want emo rap? The best fucking emo rapper out there is a dude named Slug, and I guarantee you, he will out rap any of these fucking motherfuckers out here. White dude, by the way, but he is emo as fuck.
Oh yeah.
Did that a long time ago before him. Yeah, like I said, like none of this shit is new under the sun. Like,
Oh, I don't doubt it. Yeah.
but just like, like I said, I just don't get it. But
No.
maybe that's me just being old. Like I said,
I saw Zombieland 2.
how was it?
It doesn't need to exist. It's fine. And basically, it feels like a lot of like conscious rehashing of the first movie, so new fans can just drop in. But while the original fans, are just like, yeah, this is the comfortable, warm blanket of a movie that we enjoyed so much 10 years ago. So it's kind of derivative in that regard. But they go to new places and they have a few new rules, and it's there's one good scene. That's a brief scene in Italy that I thought was pretty funny.
In
But
Italy.
yeah.
Alright.
You if you see it or no, it's fine though.
So they actually travel the globe on this one, or is it?
They do like zombie kill of the year or something. That was like a thing they did in the original one.
Mhm.
So they do a couple ones where it's like a cut scene to another place. Where like, Woody Harrelson's character like that's got to be zombie kill of the year, and I go actually, and then they voice over, and then cut to the scene, and it's some like fantastical murder scene of a zombie.
Mhm.
And they do the obligatory thing of like, guess what? There's a slightly harder to defeat zombie out there. Haven't seen this type before. You shoot them in the head, they don't automatically go down. That type of thing. It's fine. It's that thing where like it didn't really need to exist, and it's almost kind of confusing. That it was like a bit of a surprise hit. When they made it, but it's kind of confusing that there's just like the idea of returning to this of all things. 10 years later. Like the director, Ruben Fleischer, he directed the first one, and he directed that Gangland, whatever, the Gangster Squad with Ryan Gosling that didn't do very well, and it had like him.
Oh yeah, I remember watching that.
Yeah, and it's got as Cohen, Mickey Cohen. It's played by Sean Penn, and that movie didn't do very well. And then he did the 30 Minutes or Less movie with Aziz and Jesse Eisenberg as well, about having
where the dude had
being blackmailed, and he had
the bone strapped to his neck.
and and there were some moments in that one I thought, but then the point is he made Venom, and that became huge, and I guess he cashed in his chips to make Zombieland 2, or maybe they just wanted him for that, but he chose to do that and some other project instead of the Venom sequel, which Andy Serkis is now directing. Which will, interestingly enough, have Woody Harrelson in it.
Yeah, I'm
As
actually
a villain.
looking forward to that.
I think that could be cool as hell.
Yeah,
That first one was
I think he'll fit perfectly. Like, Venom didn't take itself too seriously.
Man, if he plays it the way he did at the end credits, then I'm happy to watch that. I think that would be really cool. So yeah, it's fine. I mean, I don't. If you like the first one, you'll certainly like the second one because there's very little difference ultimately, in my opinion.
Yeah, then that means you might not like it then.
It's derivative for sure.
Yeah,
It has no need to exist.
Yeah, as I know.
But it's also harmless. You can put it on the background. It's fine. I did watch the Michael Bay movie Six Underground 2 times.
Mm-hmm. So how was that?
Think about it this way. This is Six Underground is the movie you get. What if you have Michael Bay, and then you don't have a studio, reining him in. And that's to say, it is fucking batshit crazy. But in a pretty awesome way, I think. If the opening scene is no shit, an opening chase sequence that lasts 15 minutes. And it's them raining hellfire and destruction down on Florence, Italy. It's batshit. It has some stuff in it I've never seen before.
So what is the movie actually about?
It is a politically troubling movie about what happens if a billionaire decides he wants to take installing democracy into other countries into his own hands. And so he dies, quote unquote, dies, so he's off the grid and he doesn't exist. And his team of people involving like an enforcer type, a CIA operative, a driver, a sniper, and a parkour expert. Which is just, that's all true. And what if basically he's like, we're going to kidnap the brother of a dictator, and then we're going to install the brother into the country as the new leader to then reign democracy down on this new place. That's what it's about.
Okay.
And the way they set it up, though, for like future movies, is that they're like, these are 5 people we're going to do this to. And they did. The first movie is all about the first one. So there are ostensibly 4 other sequels they can make of doing this again in other places.
Sounds semi-interesting.
Look, I'm going to tell you, I'll say this. Opening scene is worth it by itself, truly. It is fan-fucking-tastic.
And say that's the thing. Michael Bay is great for action sequences.
Yeah.
But he's terrible in story.
Oh, yeah, and they do a little bit of that in the middle. There are 3, major, I'm talking major, action sequences. 1 in the first 15 minutes. 1 probably halfway to 3/4 into it, and then 1 at the very end.
Okay.
And the one at the very end involves a giant yacht. It's amazing.
Sounds like Speed 2 Cruise
It's
Control.
pretty great.
All right. What's next on the list?
Okay. Let us see. I saw a movie on Hulu called Prospect, which is a lo-fi sci-fi movie that's kind of like got a Western aesthetic to it. It costs like $3.8 million. Like, it's a small movie, compared with most any movie these days, really. But let alone Six Underground, which cost minimally $150 million, reportedly. And man, it's really good. It's on Hulu, and it's got Pedro Pascal in it, who I like quite a bit. Who's now popping up in more and more things, including, him playing the titular Mandalorian. And I liked it a lot. It's really just it's very lo-fi, and it's clearly like is an independent film, but the production value is damn good. Like, it doesn't, it's like a weird thing of like, you watch it and you like know this isn't a huge budget, but it's not like you necessarily feel it in a negative way. I recommend it. I really enjoyed it. It's one that's been on my list for a while, and I eventually just put it on.
Let's see. It came out 2018.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, it came out like 2-3 years ago.
Daughter encountered non-stop danger while searching for valuable
Yeah,
gems on an
2018.
alien moon.
Yeah, I really dug it. I also saw a movie that I think is top 5, top 10 movie I've seen all year. Called Portrait of a Lady on Fire. And it is amazing. Like, just amazing. And let me get the exact info on this, because I want to make sure I get my shit right. Yeah, here's the official synopsis. On an isolated island in Brittany at the end of the 18th century, a female painter is obliged to paint a wedding portrait of a young woman. So the point is that, like, she's been tasked with painting this picture of this beautiful woman who is about to be married off to someone in Italy. And the thing is, though, that they already had a painter who was hired to paint her, and she sat for the picture and everything. But then, no, she didn't want to sit for the painting, because the point is, it gets painted, and she gets married off and has to go somewhere else. So it's like she doesn't want that, because it's a marriage that she doesn't believe in, that it was an arranged marriage. So this woman is tasked with, like, walking with her on the beach, going out with her, venturing out, kind of bonding with her without ever being able to reveal to her that she's painting her picture. And I know this sounds, but that's the basic gist of it. What?
Period piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I'm telling you, it's amazing.
You know how I feel about period pieces.
I know, but it's really good.
If Brandon recommends it, he recommends it. But
I know, but and it's fair enough.
Yeah, I will tell you, this is like the most British pompous, like, storyline that I've ever heard.
It's French.
It's that.
I know. That's not a very good defense of it. I understand that.
Not
if anything,
at all.
it's worse.
Pretty much.
I
yeah.
know.
Like, I would just tell you now, you just describing it to me. Every word is just like.
You know what's worse though?
No.
Okay. Well, the worst part is though that were giving me like no facial expressions, and then I'm like, I'm just gonna talk more, and then we're gonna fill in, like that. And I was like, oh God, like the life is dying from your eyes.
Like, yeah, I was trying to read. I'm just like,
yeah, that's fair.
Oh.
I know. It might as well you be scrolling and it just reveals like a bigger photo of somebody shitting on your face.
Yeah, like I'm just looking at pictures. I'm just like,
I know that's. You know what? Know your audience, and I should have known on that one.
Oh, well, that's like the audience ain't me.
Well, no, the
audience is the listeners, and the listeners they might like it.
Oh no, I mean right now that's you.
But
whatever. I almost said it again, but it's really good. It's great. It's a beautiful movie. It is so well done, and the tone, cinematography, it's so good. I love that movie. Love it.
I think I'll pass along to Taylor. She actually likes period pieces and things like that.
I bet. Well, oh yeah, she likes foreign stuff too.
Yeah, she likes period pieces, like foreign stuff.
It's
just I can't get
away.
It's a
beautiful, romantic, fantastic movie. Highly recommend it.
Yeah, like I said, it's not for me, but Brandon recommends it. All right. Yeah.
I also saw a movie called A Million Little Pieces, which is based on that James Frey novel where it ends up that was like Oprah's book club pick of the month, and it ends up that he and it ends up
fake.
Yeah, and then it ends up that like people were like. Bunch of people were writing stories that ended up being like, yeah, he made a lot of shit up. It's about him, like being a massive drug addict and then like having no choice. If you have to go to rehab and you can't fuck this up, or you go to jail for years, and it all ends up being like a lot of it's horseshit. And which is fascinating that they decided to then go ahead and adapt that book on some level last year in 2018, but they did it anyway. And so this movie is all about his, all about the entering rehab to getting out of rehab. That's the whole movie. I can't recommend the movie. It's not great. But within literally the first 2.5 minutes, Aaron Taylor Johnson, who played Kick-Ass, and the fast guy in Age of Ultron.
I forgot that was the same character.
Yeah.
Oh, the same person. Damn.
Well, the first thing you see with him is he's hammered, drunk, on drugs, both. I don't know. And then it's just him dancing naked. And that just happens. And you know what? All things being equal, that dude has a fucking hog. So congrats, man.
That was not what I was expecting to hear, but
Yeah.
all right.
You know what? And his wife directed it. His wife, of which, by the way, directed him in that movie Nowhere Boy, where he played a young John Lennon. And they ended up, during that movie, got together. And she was 42 and he was 18.
All right.
Yeah.
Boy, that's a more episode waiting to happen.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. But the funny thing is, though, that there were like 2 or 3 moments of just like dick showery. And I'm like, oh, well, she's just doing a victory lap at this point. Like, oh, that's my husband.
I mean, like I said, it's their movie shit to do what they want to do. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the
does
only
not make me
notable
wanna see
element
anything
of that
about it.
movie.
yeah,
I mean, more power to him. Congratulations. But I don't recommend that movie.
yeah. I'm glad because I would not be watching that.
Anyway, you got any dick movies?
Nah. I think I do my best to avoid him now.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, most of the stuff I watch doesn't have
I mean,
any kind of nudity in it.
I wasn't
at this
walking
point.
into it with that intention.
No, I just noticed like nowadays, like I said, I don't get the same enjoyment out of like television and movies anymore. Like just certain things, I don't know if whether it's because it's too predictable or it's all a lot of the same shit. But I just get bored, so I don't watch a lot of stuff. And now, like I said, the more, unless it's a show that's like dedicated about sex in some way, the more they introduce it in a show, the less likely the less I'm going to be invested. Like
meaning the most like overtly unnecessary. I mean, meaning like
if it's absolute like Game of Thrones, a lot of that was unnecessary.
That is completely gratuitous.
Spartacus, I love the first season of Spartacus, but that was one of my issues. Was every like 15 minutes it was a random shot in the Coliseum, and like while the gladiators are fighting, there's 50,000 people over here just randomly like fucking and grabbing titties and sucking dick, and it's just like
dicks flapping everywhere. Yeah,
and I'm just like,
I called that show Spartacus Sand and Boobs because like that's all it was, just all that
sand, boobs, and dick. Like,
you know the movie the show that actually started that. I mean, for the most part, was Rome on HBO. They're the ones who did that first, and then they did Spartacus, and then they did whatever the hell's after that. But I mean, this might as well be a transition into, hey, there's a new show out that does that exact thing, and that's Witcher on Netflix.
Witcher, I don't think would be that. Witcher, I'm hoping is not going to be in that same way because
there are boobs in it.
Well, there's going to be boobs in it, but the thing is though, like it's in the story and it's in the games, so
I don't know.
Makes sense.
It doesn't. It's the show Witcher feels like it. It's definitely made. It's definitely made as a result of Game of Thrones existing, if that makes sense, because it feels like they're like, look, guys, it'd be great if we were the new Game of Thrones. I mean, we don't have to be that, but clearly they're just like hoping they can kind of ride that wave a little bit because it does have that feel at times. But I will say that Henry Cavill's voice is deep and has kind of gravelly because he's doing like tough guy. And I don't know if it's digitally altered or if it's just him, but it is noticeable. Like it's got like kind of it's almost like he's a slight like tinge of clearing his throat after every word type. I'm like, well, and it's intense. I laughed at first, but you get used to it pretty quickly.
Yeah, because he's not my favorite actor, but I thought he did look. He looked like the part of.
He looked like the part from what I've seen of the photos and stuff. I don't know jack shit about the games or I just know they exist. The games and the stories, the books.
Yeah, they're based off of a book series by. Never gonna be able to pronounce his name right, but Andrzej Sapkowski. I want to say that he is Polish, but yeah, it's a series of Polish fantasy novels, and then they got adapted to a game by CD Projekt Red, and the main thing about the whole like Witcher series is just like the actual lore that was in there. Where if you liked anything like, if you liked Lord of the Rings type of thing, like type of deal, or Silmarillion, all that kind of bullshit, The Witcher is one of those type of stories where he has a bestiary where he keeps all the info for like how do you kill griffins. Like they probably showed it on the show, but I believe he has a sword called I think it's called Arendelle. That's made out of complete silver, but that's like one of the few weapons that can kill like ghosts and things like that. But that was kind of like the appeal of the game, was learning all this different stuff, just like he was in the story where he was this bounty hunter slash monster slayer, but
he's a beast hunter.
Yeah,
who
he had to
developed
know.
supernatural powers at a young age to battle wild beasts and monsters.
Yeah, and that whole thing with the Witcher process was kind of some of the things, because Geralt is the last of the Witchers, or
Yeah.
at least he was at the time, and I think the show will go into
Yeah.
some of that too.
And they haven't so far in the show. I don't know that they've mentioned that he's the last of his kind. You know, like meaning the giving like the finality of it, and maybe that's part of them to like. Well, we have no reason why we have to disclose that, and maybe that opens them up should they want to go their own route in future seasons. But so far, they introduce you to a handful of like main people, seemingly, all of which have some form of powers.
Yeah, everybody, like I know one of the other main characters is Yennefer.
And they show her.
Okay, then yeah, like
Which by the way, the way that they have, you know how like some movies and stuff when they have like a situation where like a character is probably gonna like evolve or change, but they have an actress playing, in this case, an actress playing that role who has like a hunchback and has like things, but it's like clearly like, oh, she is so attractive, but it's like they're like hunchback, this, that, and you're like, something's gonna happen because magic's involved,
yeah,
and she's gonna change, is my guess.
yeah,
That doesn't seem like a hard thing to guess.
yeah, like I said, I'm not gonna spoil it for anybody, but the way they actually deal with everything in The Witcher is actually I would recommend going to read the books first if you're not just into trying to go back and go find a old Xbox 360 to go start playing some of the games.
Sure.
Although they are, I think, on Xbox Game Pass now, so I think you actually
are
go.
they? Okay.
Yeah, because I know I have all three of them on my Xbox One.
I've heard the games are cool. It's just that in terms of I don't, like I said, I don't really game a lot. Certainly not as much as I used to at all.
No.
But that style of game has never been really my style that I play.
Yeah, like I've never been really like into the whole Witcher series as a game. I've played them, but I've never finished a single one. But I've read the stories though.
Yeah.
Like I said, the stories were always the thing that got me with it. Where, like I said, I love the look of the games. I love how intricate it is. But yeah, I'd rather read it. Now, like I said, I think if they do the show right,
Yeah.
I'll be really probably into this, because I would like this more than Game of Thrones.
It definitely is a different form of a similar animal in a sense.
Well, like the appeal of Game of Thrones to me was the whole fact of the game, where
meaning the political side of it.
yeah, like that's the whole like the whole point of Game of Thrones wasn't dragons and all this other shit. It was literally the game, and eventually kind of lost that whole point, and that's where I quit watching. Whereas The Witcher's more along the lines of not political power so much per se, but more along the lines of like an individual finding out certain things and then trying essentially doing whatever he can to stop it, even though or make a change, even though he knows that like in the grand scheme of things, some of this won't matter, or that he doesn't matter in like a certain particular picture, but he's just going to do whatever he can. It's like, I know not everything is going to be something I can change, but I can do this one thing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so like I said,
It's honestly, it's that one. There's that one show with the with Cara Delevingne and Orlando Bloom that's on Amazon Prime. Yeah, that one. It's got like fairies and it's the whole thing.
Oh, you're talking about the Lovecraftian show.
Yeah. I'll look it up. I forget the name of it, but the point is,
His Dark Materials.
No, that's on HBO.
Let's see.
That's got like Lin-Manuel Miranda and whoever the else in there. But it's an Amazon Prime show. And
Lovecraft Country.
No, different show.
Is it?
Yeah, that's not out yet. That's produced by Jordan Peele. It's gonna be.
Oh no, yeah, that's gonna be the good one.
That's the one I'm excited about. Yeah, hold on. Anyway, Amazon. Carnival Row.
That's it.
And the reason I'm bringing that up in because it's like, whereas Carnival Row is a show that's like, it's industrial, turn of the whatever, England, and it's life, normal life, but it's a real world with fairies and other fantastical elements. And whereas, Witcher is just like, it's its own world, its own history, everything else. So it's a lot easier to take for me
Mm.
in that regard. And whereas I think Carnival Row is like fucking goofy as hell and not that good, but if you kind of realize what level the show's at, it can be kind of like dumb fun. Witcher, I'm enjoying.
I think you really should give Carnival Row another shot because it's actually really well written. If you really look down into it, it's really well written because go back and look up what Carnival Row is actually from an H.P. Lovecraft story. So go look up whatever it is from there, and then just do some comparisons to the show.
Okay.
Because essentially, H.P. Lovecraft was a racist piece of shit. If people didn't know, that's the reason why one of the main characters on the show is actually one of the black fae characters. But go back and, like I said, just kind of point between two because it's a lot better than what you're probably thinking of.
Well, here's the thing: I didn't stop watching it because I didn't enjoy it on some level. Like once I realized like what we're doing with here, I was enjoying it. Because it's to me that show is very over the top. Even by shows, it's not. Even if you look at the background thing, it's still not a well-made show, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't work very well, in my opinion. But part of the reason I stopped watching it was because I'm like, I've got 50 other things I have to watch. So I'm not going to spend, I don't want to spend 10 to 12 hours.
But you watched the little peep documentary.
Well, watch is a strong word. It was on, and I was doing.
I'm just saying.
I understand your point.
I'm just saying.
Look, I understand your point.
I'm just saying.
But there is a vast difference between doing stuff and have 90 minutes versus the intimidating nature of 10 hours of this shit, and I'm not enjoying it on a level enough to justify that much. 90 minutes, 10 hours.
All right.
And future seasons.
All right. I'll give it to you.
I mean, it's correct either way because this is my truth.
Yeah.
But Witcher I am enjoying, and I am intrigued enough to keep watching it for sure.
Okay.
And I'm not, I'm a noted, like, not a huge Cavill fan. I think I don't like he's not a great actor, in my opinion. He is a, like, less is more type guy, and he's great in the Mission Impossible movie starring your favorite actor, Tom Cruise. But he does a lot of grumbling and a lot of brooding, and that's kind of what the role is. And apparently a story came out that the costume designer was like, he was so muscular that his muscles were wearing down the leather in his costume. That's what came out today, which made me really laugh. Because, like, yeah, he's built, but also, though, he's not the tallest guy. And at certain times, it seems like they have the cameras low to shoot up to make him look even bigger. But then he also stands next to, like, taller people, and it's like, man, he looks like a really strong little man. But he's like 6 foot, probably.
Yeah, I can't really think of any movies he's been in that I actually care about.
Yeah. Played Superman in several things, and
like I said, I do not like.
Oh, you know what I like? One of his earlier movies, he wasn't the star of it. It starred Jesus, but Count of Monte Cristo, I enjoyed. From like 10, 15 years ago. He played the son.
I watched it. I don't know.
He played his son in that. He was also up for James Bond at one point. He's been up for like a lot of big roles, and then get him. So then he was like, I'm considering quitting acting, and then he got Superman, and he's like, never mind. He's also in the Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Never watched it. I know the one you're talking about.
It's not bad.
Yeah, with him and Armie Hammer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth Debicki's good though.
Let's see.
Yeah, it's the funny thing where they have Armie Hammer, the American, playing the Russian, and Henry Cavill, the Brit, playing the American, and Elizabeth Debicki plays like the she's like kind of a dangerous enchantress type. But I like parts of it.
Watched the Count of Monte Cristo. I don't remember Henry Cavill in this at all.
He was the son. It was like 10, 15 years ago, maybe. I liked it.
17. Damn.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Damn. I know it's only a 2-year difference, but still, 15 is just what I threw out there because it just feels like a number that's like, oh, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, I remember watching that in the theaters.
Yeah, I liked it. Yeah. We have like 2 questions.
All right. Let's ask some questions.
Okay. Let me bring it up. One's about a movie that I don't think you've seen, and I know you're not going to see it at all. So let's go with that one first. Did Tarantino rub our noses? This is from Bobby Babylon, at Bobby Babylon. Great dude, really talented writer, too. He has an online comic. It's really cool. Highly recommended. Did Tarantino rub our noses in his foot fetish with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? Now, you'll never see that movie.
Yeah.
Because of the Bruce Lee situation, and I understand that. There are, to give you, I mean, obviously you know about his noted foot fetish.
Yeah.
And there are scenes in this, like 4 or 5 extended scenes involving bare feet.
I mean, it's to be expected.
Yeah, I mean, but I guess the question is, to his point, is he rubbing our noses in it? And I had this conversation with somebody before, after seeing that movie, and we were just talking like, is it that he's he hears the chatter, and so he's like doing it even more to be like, eh? Or is it just he's doing more feet? And honestly, I just feel like he's doing more feet. I don't think he's the type who's going to take any notes and do anything that will compromise his vision of a movie. He takes his filmography very, very seriously, to the point of, I'm only doing 10 movies and I'm out, which is to say he has 1 left.
Yeah.
So the whole thing of like, I thought that, by the way, I thought that too. I was like, oh, he's doing it to like do a winky thing of like more feet. No, he's just going to do what he does. He is so hell-bent on making both his movie and what he perceives to be like, his perfect movie, so much so that he only allows one actor to improvise off script in any of his movies, and that is Sam Jackson.
Yeah.
The only person he trusts to be able to do the Tarantino tone, cadence, whatever style, and do a different version of it.
Yeah, which, they're boys and everything else.
Yeah. So honestly, I don't think so. I thought the same thing though.
The thing is, it wouldn't surprise me if he did.
No, that's the thing. I could see it both ways.
Yeah.
And in one regard, if he did do that to do it, I would respect the hell out of it. I think that'd be really funny, and I really respect it. But of the two, not that I don't know one way or the other, but my guess is no. But if you tell me yes, I'd believe it too. So I guess you could say shoulder shrug. I don't know, but that's my guess. Dick Killjoy at Dick Killjoy, who is a neighbor to the north, asks, "Ever laugh so hard you shoot milk out of your nose?"
No.
I haven't, but not because I haven't achieved that level of laughter. I'm just lactose intolerant.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Nardi don't drink no milk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got brittle bones, but I've not done that. I have done it with Pepsi before when I was a kid, where I don't think I got a lot of caffeine as a kid. And then one night you're hanging out with, I was like probably like 10, hanging out with friends, and then we just had like a Pepsi each, and we were just cackling. It didn't take much, but it was like just being a child drunk, because you're just like so fucking hyped up on caffeine.
There was one time when I think I was 20. I can't remember what I went to go see, but there was something actually in theaters that like I laughed so hard that, Sprite was coming out of my nose. It was a terrible experience.
That makes me wonder, because it actually relates to news that came out 2 or 3 days ago. Tangentially, my answer. Do you know what's the hardest you've laughed in a theater?
Man, that's a good one.
Because I think for me, it was Borat opening night, and that was one of the best theater experiences I've ever had, because that movie was so hyped, and there were so many people in there, and it was just like we're along for the ride. But the other time was seeing Jackass 2 in the movie theater. I laughed. Those movies, that TV show made me laugh so, as hard as I've ever laughed. And they just announced they're making a new Jackass movie. So that's why I bring that up.
If Johnny Knoxville's not it, well, actually no, I'm not gonna watch it. I'm too over Jackass at this point.
I'm gonna give it a watch.
I'm not gonna lie. It's the fact that there were outside of Johnny Knoxville, the rest of them are pretty much just kept doing the same stupid shit.
Yeah.
And it was just like, y'all are too fucking old. That, and I'm not gonna lie, the fact that like they kept bringing up Bam and certain stuff, and then like they would have the Knoxville crew, and then they kept mentioning Bam and
Yeah.
stuff. I'm not gonna lie, I could give a fuck less about Bam Margera and his best friend died. He was drunk driving in a fucking Lambo. Like,
I know.
yeah, he just needs to get fucking over himself. And like, at this point, it's like, what else are you gonna do? It's like you've pretty much done every stupid ass fucking prank, unless it's gonna be something else, or it's like we're gonna put live shit in somebody's mouth, and I'm pretty sure they did that already.
Well, what I was like, I'm intrigued by it because my question is, how is this going to look at them doing it at the age that they're at now?
It's gonna look fucking stupid.
I would think so. B, what is it they're going to do that can be both like crazy and shocking today, outside of, to your point, just fucking eating
Well, I mean, that's
a plate of shit?
I was like, none of the stuff they did was ever crazy or shocking. It was just
There was some wild
stupid.
stuff. Yeah, well, sure. Okay, fair enough.
I was saying like none of the like crazy or shocking will be like, maybe some of the like death defying type of stuff. All their stuff was just like, we're gonna shave our pubes and put on somebody's face. We're gonna like go down.
It's
We're gonna put like fireworks on a cart and see if it gives us like rocket speed. It's like I said, it was nothing actually shocking. It was just stupid shit you think of when you're like 13 years old, and it's the reason why they do it is just because, like I said, it turns out exactly how you think it's gonna turn out. It doesn't work. Like it's like I said, what else are they gonna do that hasn't already been done that we hadn't seen? That's not again reminding of like 2002.
These are all great points.
Like I just don't. There's no need for it.
I know.
Unless somebody unless like whoever the big fat dude is, unless he's still there and he breaks the fucking hip.
Preston.
And they're just like going through and he literally breaks a real hip and they're just like, well, let's get him to the hospital and show some surgery or some shit. Like,
I want to see their approach to it, what they do with it.
Yeah, like if you come back and you tell me, dude, you'll be so surprised. Like somebody broke the arm and they had to take him to the hospital, and now all of a sudden you realize this film was like 3 years old and he's fucked up now. And it's like, oh, okay, I'll go watch it.
I'm intrigued by that too.
But like I said, if it's just essentially Jackass 4, it's like, but why?
I'm open minded. I don't have good vibes, and it's gonna be filming next year, in theory, to be coming out in 2021. Just bringing it out there. And when I saw Jackass 2, I laughed so hard in the theater.
I think Jackass 2 was the last Jackass I watched.
Well,
or at least all the way through, because I saw that in theaters. I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
But again, I was never a huge Jackass. I was one of the people that was just like, this is stupid after like the first season. Like, it was funny. And
yeah,
then,
well, it's a thing that I understand it was stupid and that it shouldn't make me laugh as hard as it did, but I laughed so hard.
Honestly, the only thing I could think of that made me laugh like that, honestly, I can't even think of anything. I know there's probably been something at the top of my head in a theater.
Mm-hmm.
There was something that made me cry laughing. I'm trying to remember what it was. Because it was something recent.
Really?
Yeah. I don't remember what it was anymore.
MacGruber's also as hard as I've laughed in a theater. That movie's amazing to me. I love that movie so much.
We know.
I know.
I still never seen it.
And Alan Partridge, Alpha Papa, is a movie that not a lot of people that I know have seen it.
Alan Partridge, Alpha Papa.
It is so funny. Alan Partridge is one of my favorite characters ever. Steve Coogan character.
Who is Steve Coogan?
He's a guy, I bet if you Google him, you've seen him before. But he's a British comedian, sketch comedian mostly, an actor. He was in a movie that he produced and co-wrote, I think, called Philomena, that was up for an Oscar for Best Picture like 5 years ago. And he's in the A Trip to movies, like A Trip to Spain, A Trip to Italy, with Rob Brydon. That's a lot of fun. Yeah, he's been in a bunch of stuff. He was in, I think he played Mark Antony, maybe, in the Night at the Museum movies. He's really funny.
Let's see.
But yeah, Alan Partridge, Alpha Papa. It's from like 3-4 years ago, maybe, and it has kind of a similar vibe, in a way. It feels like there's a bit of a kinship there, unintentionally or intentionally, between Alan Partridge, Alpha Papa, and MacGruber. I think they pair well together, honestly, in a double feature. The movie makes me laugh very hard, and there are some laughs that I've not quite seen before. That it's great. It's very funny.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
I actually like him from Hamlet too. Oh, Rock Me,
Dude,
Sexy
I like that
Jesus.
movie a lot. I think that movie's funny.
Yes, that has one of my favorite lines of all time is "Rock Me, Sexy Jesus." Just
Yeah. There's a lot of funny in that. He's a very like a legit. He's one of those kind of comedians, like comedic actors that make me laugh because he's a genuinely great actor who's also very funny. Kind of like Will Forte is for me. Like really talented actors that are also just very funny. Did you see the Wonder Woman trailer?
I have not watched it yet. The only
I tell you what, I think you're gonna love Pedro Pascal's portrayal of whoever he's playing. That got raves on the internet.
he's playing Maxwell Lord, which it's good and bad. I don't trust DC with anything, and Maxwell Lord is like one of the like linchpins and for like the biggest storylines in DC. But that also means they might start introducing some of the characters that like a lot of people want to see, like Blue Beetle, Booster Gold type of deal. So
Okay.
yeah, it can evolve. Essentially, this can get the actual like Justice League really going, and if it does, like this would play out to essentially be like if they do their storyline with Maxwell Lord, essentially kind of like their end game, if they actually connect everything.
Yeah.
Which I don't think they're going to be doing anymore. I don't know how they got all this schemed out now.
I don't know what they do.
Because like I said, I know Jason Momoa mentioned something about Aquaman. They're going to start finally shooting, and that it should be out in 2021. And I think they said that they're finally doing something with the Flash, maybe
Well, the actor who plays Black Mantis,
Black Manta.
Mantis.
Yeah,
excuse me.
yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna be in the sequel.
Yeah. So
I listened to an interview.
Yeah. So
Dude, he's awesome. He's a great actor.
yeah, which if you haven't watched it, he's also plays Cal / John / Dr. Manhattan on Watchmen.
Spoilers.
And not necessarily at this point. Like you kind of,
I mean,
you kind of figure it out in a little bit, depending. But yeah,
did you watch it?
I haven't finished the whole way. I haven't finished all of it because there's one episode that just wouldn't play right. So
What do you think of it?
love it.
Do you? Okay.
Love it. And that's like there's a lot of people that
It's very divisive, but
well, it's like all the people I've seen online, either the people that don't like it haven't read the comic and don't understand it. So if you haven't read the comic and you don't understand the work itself, if all you're doing is just going off the movie, then yeah, you're not going to like it. But if you know what the story was actually about and then how it plays into it, and the other thing that throws a lot of people off is they explain on the show, but the way time works for Dr. Manhattan is not the same as it works for us. So he sees time. He sees all time. So it doesn't matter at any point in time. He sees everything that's happening. So he sees the past, present, and the future. And when you shoot a story like that, it's a little bit jarring.
yeah.
Like I said, I'm used to it because they actually introduced him in, was it DC's Doomsday Clock. And that was kind of part of it too, was they were explaining actually his powers. They were saying like he sees what's going on now. He sees the past, present, and future, but the only problem is there's a certain point in time where he can't see. And he doesn't know whether that is actually his death or if that's when he ends the universe. And that's kind of comes into play here. But the Watchmen show is really a love story.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if you...
It's really well made.
It's the...
I think he's great. And
yeah.
what's her
it's
name?
essentially
Is great?
Regina King.
She's great.
It's essentially the love story of Regina King's character and Dr. Manhattan. And if you read the first Watchmen, and even if you got the movie, it kind of plays well over into it because you see his relationship as Dr. Manhattan from Watchmen. And then when it comes into play here, then you kind of see the growth of who he was as a person.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, I really like the show. I think it's excellent. Like,
I think Jeremy Irons is great in it.
I'm not going to throw it out there like everybody else keeps saying, and it's like, it's the show, it's a perfect show, and it's this, that, and the other. I don't believe so, and I think this is a one and done. Like the way it's ended, it can be brought into for another season, but I think the way it ended is going to be a one and done.
I think my guess is it was intended as a one and done. That might be more than that because HBO Max wants content and wants it now and bad, and they could give him a blank check and make it
That's
happen.
the thing. He's not, but he's the one that actually said he's not thinking of. I said because it actually said series finale.
Yeah, yeah.
So, like I said, he doesn't plan on writing anything else. He's like, maybe later on down the line, because that, honestly, if you go into it, Regina King's character is the greatest thing in that fucking show. Like,
It's very good, and she's very, very good in it.
I think I can't remember if it's episode 8. I want to say it's episode 8, but
The memory one?
yeah. And her reaction when she finds out, like,
Yeah.
some of the stuff that happens, it was like some of the best things I've ever seen. Like just her acting. And that's the thing, y'all just don't know. Regina King's been in the game for fucking ever. And
No
she
shit,
is like
dude.
she either does the voice for some of your favorite characters or she's been in like your favorite shit. Because she is also the voice of Huey and Riley Freeman in the Boondocks.
Mm-hmm.
Which perfect. Like easily. Greatest thing ever.
Yeah,
she
I
comes
mean,
back
yeah,
for
watching
HBO
that,
Max show.
watching that, the funny thing is that, like, this year she won Best Supporting Actress for, what is it? The Beale Street Could Talk, if Beale Street Could Talk.
Mm-hmm.
Won Best Supporting Actress for that, and now she's, like, now she's going to be in everything. And guess what? She's amazing. But the point, to your point, is it's nothing new.
Yeah. It's like
This is just,
people are just now finding out.
She's been on this journey for 15, 20 years.
Yeah. Which, speaking by the way, what is it? How much time we got on this? Okay, we're hours. I'm in. Quick before we even pop out, just before I forget. Did you see that fucking article they were talking about? Kristen Stewart was the actress of the decade.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I'm
No,
just
that's
like,
stupid.
yeah, and I was like, that is probably the stupidest shit I've ever seen.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was like if this actual award they're trying to give her or if it was like an article somewhere, but they nominated her for like actress of the decade, and I'm just like, Viola Davis essentially got an EGOT.
No shit.
And it's like,
I mean, but there are 30 I would name before that. Genuinely.
like honestly, Viola Davis. Like
she is a
they're-
force.
Like last thing, I can't think of anybody else that's had a rise like she has in this decade. Because before it wasn't nobody checking for Viola Davis. The biggest thing she was really in was The Help. But now she's actually seen as like a sex symbol from How to Get Away with Murder. She's been in fucking comic book movies as Amanda Waller, which
Dude,
is one of the best characters for me.
Yeah.
Like she's playing in action movies and Widows. Like
She owned and would. I mean, in a movie that had so many good actors and so many great performances, she owned every moment she was in that movie.
that's what I'm saying. Is like and again she has an EGOT. So I'm like, how did Kristen Stewart get that?
I don't know. That's stupid to me.
Yeah.
I would have never picked her.
Yeah.
By the way, she's very talented.
Yeah,
but
I'm not
no,
saying she's
no,
not.
it's not that. But
Again,
but the idea of like that's the choice. I'm like, wow, is that trying to do some like Golden Globe shit where you're like, we are the kingmaker of this, so we give these people early, so we're like, ooh, what a brave choice. Ooh, tastemaker. That is stupid to me. No, I disagree with that wholeheartedly.
yeah. Just
No,
I don't know. Want to get on my soapbox for a second.
Yeah.
Just thought it was stupid.
that's fair.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, this week I will be seeing Cats tomorrow. Yay me. I'm gonna be seeing Knives Out Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Looking forward to that. In the meantime, I will be watching also at home Jojo Rabbit and The Lighthouse and the can cut of Southland Tales.
I'm gonna pray for you.
I'm excited. Look, it's a new version. I'm curious about that. It's the only way I will rewatch that movie after multiple people have told me pre my knowing anything about this can cut
Which
that I would ever watch
included.
it. So I'll give it a whirl.
Bless you, sir. Let me know how it is, because like I said, if that 13 minutes changes to something, then hey, I might give it a watch. But
Look, it's a thing where it was so long ago, and I've watched so many things since then. to where at this point I'm like, I remember certain parts certainly, and I've tried to forget others, but it's enough of a clean slate to where I'm like, I can give it a fair shot and see how it is.
Things get so ingrained in my mind if they're terrible
And
that I remember enough of it that it's like, no.
And that is very fair. As we sit here on
Release the Snyder cut of Justice League.
you know that did you know officially that they have that is a real thing?
Yeah.
But with effects and everything.
Yeah.
I didn't know we were at that point.
Okay, so that's the thing. People like
Because it's become a bit.
well, it is and it isn't. Like that's like yeah, there's a Snyder cut because essentially there's a director's cut. That's what a Snyder cut is.
Yes.
But the thing is though, there's like they filmed this movie essentially like 4 different times. Technically, there's like 9 different cuts, so it doesn't really matter which one you're going to be getting because like they filmed 2 different endings. They reshot a lot of different stuff. They went through and like essentially they had to go and put in the animation and all the CG stuff just so you could see it. And then again, they test ran it. I don't know how many times.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong. Yeah, the Snyder cut might fill in some stuff, but it's like, Chief, if there's 9 different versions of the movie, it's like the director's cut ain't gonna be no better. Like the one they gave you was supposed to be the best one.
Well, it's like one of those things that now become like a joke and a joke and a joke, but then now it's serious
It wasn't until Gal Gadot and I think Henry Cavill both put out their released the Snyder cut.
And Momoa's done that too.
Okay, that was it. It was Gadot and Momoa. Yeah, that's when it actually picked up pace. Where now you actually because before nobody in the studio was allowed to say anything about it, and that was the main thing. And now all of a sudden, people that work on the movie, that are stars in the movie, that help had a hand in it, all of a sudden are saying release the Snyder cut, and that's where everybody's kind of on that. Oh, well, there is a better version of the movie. Yeah. It's like, yeah, it's like it's not going to be any better. I was like, don't get me wrong, like release it, go ahead, put it out there. It's not going to be any better.
No, look, I would sooner watch the can cut of Southland Tales than rewatch any fucking Snyder cut of anything. To give you an idea too, as of today, December 22nd. This year, I've seen 301 movies.
That's a lot of fucking movies.
It's a lot of movies. But I was trying to... I just wanted to track it from start to finish for the first time ever. And Letterboxd is a very good way to do that.
Man, I can probably tell you now, I think I've probably seen maybe...
What, 30?
No. Less.
Damn.
I've probably seen maybe like 15 movies this year. Maybe.
That has got to be a new record low for you. Maybe not.
No, it is. Like I said, it's just... There's a lot of stuff out there that's just either derivative, not something that, again, just something that's not up my alley. Because like I said, I don't do period pieces.
Sure.
I can't do it. I don't do art house. So it's like it's just a lot of stuff. A lot of the stuff that came out this year that was worth talking about was that kind of stuff. It was stuff that I'm never going to sit there and watch.
Yeah.
So
it was overall, by the way, as far as I'm consider what I consider, and how many I've seen, it was a really strong year. Actually, I think. There's a lot of good shit, and obviously the things I've watched have not all been new by any means, but tail of the tape as of the 22nd. I'm going to try to finish strong. Because I got some stuff I do want to see. But 118 dramas, 92 documentaries, 67 thrillers, 55 comedies, 45 crime films, 43 action films, etc.
Yeah, like your first 3 are pretty much the top 3 I damn near avoid at this point.
See, I do love documentaries, I know. But it's definitely like a thing where I'm not going to watch. The Little Peep thing was just pure, who is that, what is this, curiosity. That, again, it was in the background. But I've just been catching up on some documentaries I wanted to see. And I will say that my favorite documentaries of the year, top 3 probably, are Apollo 11, which is amazing. They Shall Never Grow Old, which is a World War I documentary. It was all testimonials from World War I vets with all the images, happening at the same time, some of which were restored and colorized. It is phenomenal. And the third favorite is Maiden, which I cannot recommend enough. It is so goddamn good. Highly recommend it. It's a great story. Go in not knowing a lot if you can. It's about the Whitbread Round the World Challenge sailboat race, and this was in 1988 or 89. That takes place for like 8 months, and it was a woman who brought together the first all-female crew to guide this boat in this race, and it follows that, and they have a lot of video, and it is so good.
Okay.
I loved it. Highly recommend it.
Oh, there is something that, not necessarily to watch, but I would go and listen to. But I had recommended for a while watching American Gods, and now that if you hadn't heard the whole drama and everything that with Orlando Jones' firing from the show, there's actually exclusive. If you go listen to the Blurred Girls podcast, he actually got on there and explained the whole situation that day. But yeah, just going forward, I can't recommend watching American Gods, just because a lot of the characters that I thought were really well written, which come to find out, Orlando Jones actually wrote for.
You know, literally.
No, like he was
He
the
wrote
one.
it.
If essentially any of the gods that were people of color, he wrote them, and apparently he didn't get any real credit for it. And essentially all the stuff that you actually liked about American Gods, apparently he was the one that was really behind it. And yeah, now I'm just like, man, y'all really are trying to make it out here where people can't get their money.
Like, what a shit show. And that's even what I've just some of the things that I read in the article. I need to listen to that podcast though.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's always had some trouble getting started to begin with, but now it's gotten to the point where they've gotten rid of prominent characters. Mr. Nancy is the best character on that whole fucking show.
Yeah.
But I said the Jin is gone, Mr. Nancy is gone. Crispin Glover, who played the World, is no longer on the show. Gillian Anderson left in season 1. The girl that took her place, I can't remember her name, but she's Korean. She played New Media.
Okay.
She's gone.
I haven't seen any of the second season because I wasn't a huge fan of the first one. But everything I read too, but prior to anything he mentioned, that came out this last week and a half, all the stories have been out there, rumors and stuff about the production being an absolute clusterfuck.
Yeah, production has been bad, but we didn't realize where it was.
I didn't realize that example by any stretch.
Yeah, and he kind of broke it down and explaining how bad things actually got on set, on production, on writing, everything. So yeah, if you want to see some behind the scenes things and kind of explain why he's suing, because part of it was that he explained how contracts work.
Yeah.
And that if you don't recall, the break between season 1 and season 2 was 19 months. So for that amount of time, he couldn't work at all, nowhere.
Oh yeah, because there's non-compete clauses.
Exactly. So now there's a whole suit against him. Well, with him against Fremantle and some other stuff. But yeah, go back, listen to that interview on the Blur Girl podcast, and yeah, look back into it. Because like I said, I would recommend going back to watching season 2, because season 2 was the standout season, especially for Orlando Jones. Main people you need to watch were Orlando Jones and of course Ian McShane.
Yeah, he owns Mr. Wednesday.
Yeah, Mr. Wednesday is hilarious, and
that's perfect casting for him.
Let's see, what's the dude's name? Played Porn Stash.
The Irishman?
Yeah.
Oh, that's Pablo Schreiber.
Yeah. Him as, God damn it, I can't even remember his name.
I know what you're talking about, but yeah.
Yeah, but and his character, and mind you, they kind of
he did a very good job in that. Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of took off from the stories and everything else, but it was a lot of growth. It was really well written, especially a lot of the monologue scenes. But yeah, going into it, I don't think you're going to get really much out of it this next coming season, if there's anything at all to really watch.
I also just don't want to support that.
Yeah, I'm not doing it just because that same very reason. I won't be watching it out of support.
Yeah.
But if you do decide to watch, it's just don't really get your kind of hopes up for it, because they're essentially bringing off all the real talent and the stars that you really want to see. And I'm thinking at this point, it's not going to be anything that's really like compelling enough to kind of keep you there.
Yeah. Well, I know with season 2, Brian Fuller, quit, and he left, and because in a kind of a power grab by what's his name, the writer. Who wrote it? I can't remember his name.
Talking about Neil Gilliam.
Yeah, that he was not liking the direction at all, and they kind of took it over.
Well, that was the thing. It's not necessarily he didn't like the direction. It was just that he essentially they brought him in to help get some stuff in order. But he was the one that actually came and asked Orlando Jones to actually write. Like literally, he came in and was just like, "Hey, I love what you did with this. Can you help here?" And then,
well, that's cool.
Yeah, the showrunner essentially kind of. The showrunner actually just kind of threw it in his lap. Was like, "Well, will you write this for me?" And then just kind of kept it going. So that's why.
Gotcha.
What they're thinking about now is Neil Gaiman is they're hoping that they'll actually do the spinoff series and have Neil Gaiman and Orlando Jones actually write that instead.
Yeah.
So
that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I like Good Omens that he did on Amazon.
Yeah, Good Omens is actually really.
I enjoyed that quite a bit, and I love that book, and I love American Gods, the book.
I still haven't finished Good Omens. I need to finish the last episode.
It feels like it was forever ago now, but it really wasn't. But I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I thought it was a welcome surprise because I really had no expectations. But we need to wrap this bitch up.
Yeah. So all right, people.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas. If
Merry
we don't
Christmas.
Let y'all.
Happy holidays.
New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy Kwanzaa. Happy
Kwanzaa.
Hanukkah. Boxing Day.
Boxing Day.
I don't know anything else for Christmas. Feliz Navidad.
Feliz Navidad. All others. As I said to a guy one time when I worked at Blockbuster, who was like the crankiest little bitch I've ever met. I said to him, I go, Happy Hanukkah. And he turned around and he sniffed at me and he goes, I don't believe in Hanukkah. And then as he walked out the door, I then followed him and opened the door and yelled at him, yeah, well, it exists. And then closed the door. And what a little shit that dude was. Anyway, don't be that guy.
Yeah, he's probably a Holocaust denier.
Who's to say?
Yeah.
He probably loves Jojo Rabbit for all the wrong reasons.
Let's hold that.
I have no basis for that.
All right, folks.
All right, goodbye. Love you.